Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophet Speak. This is Isaiah chapter 2b. It is our second podcast in Isaiah, of the second chapter of Isaiah. We just ended the last podcast with Isaiah asking the Jewish people to walk in the light of God, in the light of justice, in order to be the messengers that will ultimately bring peace to the world in the Messianic times. Now he explains to us what the Jewish people are doing wrong. Fundamentally, Yeshayahu is telling us a concept and idea that we will find throughout this book, that when people turn to rituals and prayer as a way to influence God rather than trying to become better people, they are also susceptible to another important weakness. That is the weakness of turning to magic, witchcraft, omens, and idol worship. This in turn is related to arrogance. How does this work? Allow me to summarize this idea, and we will see it as one of the most important concepts that Yeshayahu, Isaiah, is teaching in his book. An arrogant person thinks that he can control things. An arrogant person thinks that he can even control the gods. He just needs to learn the tricks. He needs to learn the right rituals, the right incantations. What are the right omens? This is how idol worshippers live. When they do achieve things in this world, they believe it was their own achievement because they manipulated the gods. And then they become even more proud and even more arrogant. When they lose and don't get what they were trying to get, either they just try new gods or try new omens, or they give in to despair. However, a humble person understands that all is from God. He understands that what God wants from him is to be a better person. And he understands that whatever he gets in this world that's good is not because he was a good person, but it was because that was God's judgment. And he understands that when things don't work out the way he wants it to, that he's able to give in and understand the justice of God. Now we can understand these next few verses. Isaiah turns to the Jewish people saying, let's walk in the light of God. Ki natashta amcha Beit Yaakov, ki mala'u mikedem v'onanim kaplishtim uvayaldei nachrim yaspiku. For you, the house of Jacob, have given up on the special mission of your nation. You have filled yourself with sorcerers and magicians, just like the peoples of the east and the Philistines. Vatimole arzo kesef v'zohav v'ein keitze li'otzosav. Vatimole arzo susim v'ein keitze l'markvosav. You have seen that those people that live their lives based on sorcery and magic and idol worship, their lands are full of silver and gold and treasure and horses and chariots. Think about those Assyrians who are standing outside the wall today and oppressing you. Their horses and their chariots. There's no end to their chariots and their power. Vatimole arzo elilim, and their land is also full of little gods. But those people, it's not their gods. They're bowing down to themselves, to their own creations, to the things that their own fingers and hands have made. The Radak, Rabbi David Kimchi, the primary commentator that I have been relying upon in this podcast, explains that Isaiah in this verse is turning again to the future. But there will be a time when man will have to bow down. He will eventually be lowered, and God will no longer carry his arrogance. Bo batzor v'hitamein be'afar mipnei pachad Adonai mehadar ga'ono. The people will one day have to hide in the rocks and hide in the dirt when they finally realize the greatness and the terror of God himself. They will have to learn that it is God who has judgment. It is God who decides. And it is not up to them to manipulate him. It is not their arrogant selves that are in control. In the next podcast, we will learn a little bit more about arrogance and Isaiah's view of the Messianic days. He will tell us just how peace on earth will come, what human beings will have to do to change in order for the beautiful vision of beating swords into plowshares to come true. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Let the Prophet Speak, and we hope to see you again next time.